I'm making a recipe for Polish potato bread. It has mashed potatoes in it. First, I need to dissolve the yeast, so I have some warm water here in this pan, and I'm just going to sprinkle the yeast on top of it and let it sit for a few minutes while I get the other stuff ready. Now I'm going to put in some butter, the mashed potatoes, some sugar, and I'm going to mix this a little bit. And then I have some scalded milk here that I'm going to pour in with it. Going to add a little bit of the flour that I have measured out here. Just about a cup is all you need. And then I'm going to add the beaten eggs. I want to scrape the sides down so I get it all blended in. You can beat this by hand if you like, but I prefer to do the first stages of it with a mixer. Especially if your potatoes have set and they're cold, then the mixer beats them up and gets them blended better. Now I'm going to take the yeast mixture that's dissolved here, the yeast in the water, and I'm going to put it in with the egg mixture. And again, I just want to blend it in good. Now I'm going to stir it up, and then I'm going to let this mixture here in this bowl set for about an hour and a half until the yeast starts bubbling it up. You want to cover it so it keeps the drafts out, and just let it sit for about an hour and a half, and then we'll finish it up. Okay, I have left the batter, the dough, set in a warm place until the yeast has made it bubbly. Can you see that? And so now, first thing I'm going to do, when I get finished kneading, I will need a greased bowl. So I went ahead and put some shortening all over that bowl, and that's what I'll put it in. And now I'm going to start adding the rest of the flour that I measured out here, and I'm going just to beat it in as much as I can get in to make a soft dough where it'll be ready to knead. This bread takes a little more time to make, but it's worth it. It's not hard, it's just different, mainly the time to let it rise and let the yeast work. See, it's getting harder to stir, so that's the way it should be. Now I'm going to pour the rest of this flour out on my surface here, and then I'm going to turn the dough out onto the flour. And as I knead it, then I will work the rest of the flour in. Now some recipes you make for biscuits and rolls and things without the yeast, it tells you to knead, and that's a completely different kneading than what it is for bread. Bread, you need to knead it until you'll feel a snap in the dough, and it takes a while longer to knead the yeast breads. A little bit more. It should be slightly beyond that sticky stage when you get it to where it should be. See how smooth and nice it is? So now I'm going to put it in the greased bowl, and I'll cover it and set it in a warm spot over here and let it rise until it's double in bulk, and then we'll finish it up and make our loaves. Okay, it's time to work with the bread dough again, but first I'm going to grease a tray that I'll be able to put the loaves on. Just rub a little shortening all over it. Now I think you can see the dough, how high it is here. It's ready to work with, and the recipe says to punch it down. Now to punch it down means just that. Take your fist and punch it down. That lets all the air out of it. Now I'm going to pull it out here on a little, I have the surface dusted with a little flour. So I'm just going to go ahead and punch all the air out of it. Make sure it's all flat. Now this time I'm going to divide the dough in half and make 2 loaves out of it. It's very easy. Just shape them in dough balls, and then just lay them on the trays here. Make sure they're rounded. I'll lay this one over here. That'll give it some space to rise again. And we're going to cover them again and let them rise until they're double, and then we'll bake them this time. Okay, the bread has risen, and so now before I put it in the oven, I'm going to take a little bit of flour and just dust over the top of the loaf. Just a little bit on each one. And then with a sharp knife, I'm going to cut an X across the top. Now I'm going to put them in the oven and bake them for about 40 minutes. Here's the potato bread, fresh out of the oven, nice and hot, and it smells delicious.